Assalamu alaikum dear students, hope all of you are fine. I am Sher, lecturer of Pakistan Studies in SMB QAPS Public School. Today we will discuss on the topic of chapter number 1, two nation theory. So we have a few points and we will examine each of them separately. So number 1, we have a concept of nation. Number 2, background of two nation theory. Number 3, means of two nation theory, and number 4, historical evidence, and last one is views of political leaders. So first of all, we will talk about we have a concept of nation. Nation as a political concept is quite simply to define any group of people, diverse or homogeneous, is a nation if it has established a state or for whatever reason have a desire for a state. So according to this definition, the Muslims of the Indian qualified to be a nation. So this is the concept of a nation. So now we will go to the background of two nation theory. The Urdu and Hindi controversy took place in the year of 1867. So dear students, this is the base of two nation theory. Before this conflict, the Hindus and the Muslims were not against each other. Even the great leader Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was the favor of Hindu and Muslims. But after this conflict, the Muslims realized that we are different from the Hindus in a cultural, civilization and political. So this is the base of two nation theory, and it is also the base of Pakistan movement. So now we will come on the point number 3, means of two nation theory. Two nation theory means that Muslims of the South Asian believe that Islam and Hinduism are not only two religious but also with no similarities. Their habits, architecture, music, script, all are different. Even the language they speak, the dresses they wear are entirely different. That's why the Muslims of the Indian had demanded a separate homeland. For what purpose? A separate homeland where Muslim could get their religious certification. It was the main purpose of Muslims, because they want to get separate homeland where they could get a religious certification. So, and number 4, historical evidence. 4 points: religious, political, economical and social differences. These are 4 differences in a historical evidence, and we will examine also each of them in separately. So number 1, we have a religious differences. So dear students, the Hindus and Muslims belong to different religions. Islam preach Tawheed, means oneness of Allah, and believes in the equality of man before law. This is the Muslims are the believers of Allah and the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and the Holy Book Quran, and hold a cohesive approach towards life. If we talk about another side, another concept of the Hinduism in a religious basis, so Hinduism based on the concept of multiple gods. Their society is follows a caste system. In Hinduism, especially in Hinduism, they follows a caste system, and it is also divided into 4 classes. We have mentioned in the previous lecture. This point we have mentioned in previous lecture that it is divided into a 4 class or caste system. Is a very narrow approach mind towards life. So this is the difference between Hindus and Muslim on the basis of religious differences. Now we will see the political differences. Second point. Islam was essentially a democratic faith, whereas Hinduism with its clear system, they favor a minoritarian rule, and Islam favor a majoritarian rule, because Hinduism have a class or caste system. So they favor a majoritarian rule, always majoritarian rule. So Hinduism with its caste system established that the right to rule was reserved for the 2 upper classes, which are those Brahman and Kshatriya. These are both castes which are related to the upper class. So this is the system of Hinduism and Muslims in a political differences. Always Hindus favor a class system, and they rule in a majoritarians always, because they follow the caste system. So this is the difference between Hindus and Muslims on the basis of political differences. So come on, point number 3rd of historical evidence in two-nation theory. So dear students, you can easily observe on your screen that we have a point number 3, economic differences. So Islam encourage fair distribution through zakat and sadaqat, whereas Hinduism was essential and a capitalistic religion. Hindus worship Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, and usury was a chief source of income for Hindus. Hindus discriminated Muslims for job and tried to close all the avenues of employment for Muslims. This is the economic differences. So now come on the point number 4, and this is social differences. You can see on easily in the screen. 2 communities of the subcontinent differ in their social life as well. The clothes and the food, the layout of home, and the words of salutation, the gestures, and everything was different. So this is the difference between Hindus and Muslims on the basis of two-nation theory. So now finally we will talk about the views of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and he was the first person who used the word two-nation theory very first in the Indian subcontinent. So he was the first person to use as a nation for the Hindus and Muslims very first, and then because he saw the hatred of Hindus and Congress for the Muslims, so he decided to use a word Qaum, means nation, for the Muslims. He did his best to make the Muslims realize that difference with the Hindus with regard of the religion, social and cultural values. He made Muslims educated by founding Aligarh Education Institute. So now we will talk about the dreamers of Pakistan. I mean Allama Iqbal. He was a poet of Pakistan. He proposed a permanent solution to the Muslims Hindu problem, that Punjab and WFP means North-West Frontier Provinces, Balochistan and Sindh should be converted into a province. So further he said in the presidential address in 1930 in Allahabad, he said, I would like to see NWFP, Punjab, Balochistan and Sindh into a single state of Chaudhry Rahmat Ali. He proposed the name of Pakistan, and on 28th January in 1933 in London, Chaudhry Rahmat Ali published a pamphlet named Now or Never, so in which he wrote that the population of northwest provinces is totally 4 crore. So in which 4 crore, 3 crore are Muslims. That's why we need a separate state consisting of Punjab and WFP, North-West Frontier Provinces, Balochistan, Sindh, and also he mentioned the name of Kashmir. He said that it is Pakistan. So he used the word of Pakistan in 1933, or he composed, or he proposed the name of. So finally we have a last about the views of Allama Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He was a great leader and founder of Pakistan. So Quaid-e-Azam expounded the two-nation theory in a such detail, the most Muslim and even some Hindus came to believe in its truth, that he declared that the Muslims are not minorities. They are a nation by every definition of the word nation. So he declared so many statements in the different occasion, in the different programs about the Pakistan and for the struggle of Pakistan, and he was a